Well, today is Memorial Day. In light of that, I wanted to say a great big thank you from the bottom of my heart to all the men and women who served and gave their lives in our United States military. Without you, we would not have the freedoms that we have today. And it's because of you that we are here on air speaking freely and doing things that people in other countries cannot do. So I want to say thank you to all of you. Your courage and dedication will never be forgotten. And that is why today is so special. So wishing you guys a peaceful and meaningful happy Memorial Day. But with that, I've got a lot to share with you. I want to start first with this little clip here, because I think it's going to bring a smile to your face before I dive into the General and Admirals' dire warning that they have just issued to Congress and, quite frankly, the American people. But take a look here. Emmanuel Macron, in this video of him coming out of a plane, well, it looks like his wife, slapped him in the face, or more like a face push. But watch at the very top. There you go. I thought that would bring a little bit of a smile to your face before we kicked off the broadcast. But before I dive into that warning, just a quick break from my sponsor. Well, have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I saw a video of him the other day and I was completely shocked. I mean, the man is literally in his 80s. He is working out, kicking butt, and more active than ever. In fact, what stood out to me is that he seemed stronger than he's ever been. He works out longer and he had lots and lots of energy. And I thought to myself, I want to be like him when I'm his age. So what the heck is he doing that is changing his lifestyle, right? So he claims that he did this by making one change in his life. And I want to encourage you guys to check out that change. And in order to check it out, all you have to do is go to chuckdefense.com/haven to find out what that change is. And I have to tell you, I found out what that change was, and it made a huge difference in my life. And I honestly believe that it will make a huge difference in your life. This is why I've sponsored with them. But you can check it out at chuckdefense.com/haven. And if you want more information, you can click the link in the description box below to watch the video, or if you're on the cell phone, click that more button. But trust me, you're going to want to check this out. Go to chuckdefense.com/haven. All right, back to the broadcast. So just what is this warning by the admirals and retired generals? Take a look at this. This is on the westernjournal.com, and it's retired generals and admirals warn Congress that America must prepare now. It goes on to state that protecting Taiwan against a Chinese invasion is an urgent mission that requires the U.S. to up its game in the Pacific. Experts recently told Congress America's ability to defend a coercive attack conducted by the CCP against Taiwan continues to shrink. Retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery said in his testimony recently during a hearing of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. Addressing that requires urgency, said retired Army General Charles Flynn. So this is multiple people warning. One up here was Admiral Mark Montgomery, and this one is Army General Charles Flynn. And he goes on to state this: the threat of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan is no longer distant or theoretical, he said. The urgency to restore credible deterrence in the Indo-Pacific has never been greater. And Flynn said deterrence must focus on keeping the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, from landing. If the PLA army fails to land and hold terrain, the invasion fails. Even if we sink their ships and down their planes, if they seize the island, they win, Flynn said in his prepared remarks. And that's kind of important there, because I think what he's trying to obviously say here is we've got to keep them from getting on land, because if they do, we're going to have a serious problem on our hands. But they're not the only ones in this article. We also have here former Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell said that protecting Taiwan will require a broad-based commitment of resources and planning. Taiwan's future is deeply intertwined with America's own. Our economies, our technologies, our societies are inextricably linked, making a strong and secure Taiwan a vital U.S. strategic interest, Campbell said in his prepared testimony. Meeting this moment requires a whole-of-government approach. Congress, the executive branch, and civil society must all play an active role in deepening engagement with their Taiwan counterparts. And that includes, obviously, our defenses, economic partnerships with Taiwan's government, supporting Taiwan, meaningful participation in international organizations, and expanding educational, cultural, and scientific exchanges. So here we have three separate people. We have the Secretary, Kurt Campbell. We have Flynn. In the beginning of this, he is the Army General, and we have Army retired Admiral Mark Montgomery. So three separate people who are issuing this warning that we have to be ready in the event of China and Taiwan going to war. And considering we are in league there with Taiwan, the possibility of us getting into this war is obviously very, very high. And that's why they've really issued that warning. In fact, speaking of General Charles A. Flynn, he actually published this unclassified report, just kind of for the record, and he put this out on May 15th, 2025. But I'm going to scroll to the end of it. It's just a couple of pages. It's a short read. But here's what he says in conclusion. I'm going to focus on this bottom yellow half. He says, the U.S.'s window for strategic decision-making is closing. China is moving quickly to ready their armed forces to seize military initiative in crisis, and consequently, we must accelerate our own preparations. We must prioritize the training readiness, modernization, and organization of our armed forces towards our nation's most critical global threat, China, and specifically to counter their cross-strait invasion plans. So to him, it is imperative that we start making preparations in the event of we end up in war with China. We need to start doing drills, activities, getting involved with Taiwan in some way, shape, or form. So when and if China does invade Taiwan, which I'm going to show you here in a moment, China is actually talking about invading Taiwan by 2027. And if that is the case, then we have to be ready. Rather than giving all our freaking military supplies and equipment to freaking Ukraine, we need to start keeping that and building up our sources here, because war with China is very unfortunate, but a very real thing, especially in light of everything that is going on with these tariffs. But with all of that, I want to show you kind of like some updates on what is going on with China. Right here's Reuters. U.S. prepares for long war with China that might hit its bases in homeland, Peter says. And that was back on May 19th of 2025, so not that long ago. And then we also have Tier 1, and this is on the Western Journal, U.S. Special Forces Unit preparing for Chinese invasion of Taiwan. And in this report, they actually detail that the United States Navy SEAL 6 team is currently training for the types of missions that may occur if the People's Republic of China becomes openly hostile. So the good news is we've got some preparations going on and underway, at least since 2024. But here is the more terrifying part, and that is the fact that China is fully intending of invading Taiwan by 2027. China will be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. John Aquilino, head of the Indo-Pacific Command, said on Wednesday he believes China's military will be prepared to invade Taiwan by 2027, meeting a goal U.S. military officials believe Chinese President Xi Jinping sets to reunite Taiwan with China's mainland with force if necessary. Aquilino, who testified to the GOP-led House Armed Services Committee, said all indications point to the PLA meeting Yi's alleged goal of potentially invading Taiwan by 2027. In fact, since 2020, The PLA has added more than 400 fighter aircrafts, 20 major warships, while doubling its ballistic and cruise missiles, according to him, who said China has increased spending by 16% to more than $223 billion for war, potential war. So they're ramping up. They're getting ready. They're preparing. Why are we sitting back doing minimal? Right? Sending SEAL Team 6, great, to train. We need a little bit more. We need to start building our arsenal here at home. And I believe Donald Trump is doing that. Unfortunately, when Joe Biden was in office, he wiped out our oil reserves. He wiped out some of our military, our ammunition, and all of that. Let go of a lot of military personnel within the military, for refusing to get, you know what I'm talking about? I mean, this is just insane. And he had made our entire military this DEI force rather than a force that is supposed to be about building strong men and women in the military and being ready to go out to battle. Right? Unfortunately, he really sissified things when he was in office, and it really was to our detriment. Well, thank God we got a new president in charge who I believe is stopping some of that. And hopefully we get our military built up, and God forbid something goes down with China and Taiwan and we have to get involved. This is some terrifying times when we're talking about war, but wanted to keep you up to date on what these generals and admirals are warning. Anyhow, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.